The Bible is more than an ancient book. It contains hundreds of prophecies, many of which were written centuries before they came to pass. Today, we're looking at 10 remarkable Bible prophecies that history confirms were fulfilled. 1. The fall of Babylon. In Isaiah chapter 13, the prophet foretold the fall of mighty Babylon, the empire that seemed untouchable. Isaiah even described how the city would be overthrown and never rebuilt. Centuries later, Babylon fell to the Persians under Cyrus the Great in 539 BC. And to this day, Babylon lies in ruins. 2. The rise of Cyrus by name. Speaking of Cyrus, in Isaiah chapter 44 and chapter 45, the Bible actually names him over 150 years before he was born. The prophecy said he would conquer Babylon and allow the Jewish people to return and rebuild Jerusalem. History records that's exactly what happened. 3. The destruction of Tyre. Ezekiel chapter 26 contains one of the most detailed prophecies, that the city of Tyre would be destroyed, its walls torn down, and its stones and would cast into the sea. Centuries later, Alexander the Great built a causeway to conquer the island city, using the rubble of old Tyre, just as foretold. 4. The rebuilding of Jerusalem. Jeremiah prophesied that after 70 years of captivity, the Jewish people would return from Babylon and rebuild Jerusalem. This was fulfilled when Cyrus issued a decree, and the exiles came back home, just as the prophets had said. 5. The coming of a suffering Messiah. In Isaiah chapter 53, written around 700 years before Jesus, the prophecy describes a servant who would be rejected, pierced, and bear the sins of many. Christians recognize this as a direct fulfillment in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. 6. The betrayal for 30 pieces of silver. Zechariah chapter 11 foretold that the Messiah would be betrayed for 30 pieces of silver, and that the money would be thrown into the house of the Lord. In the New Testament, Judas Iscariot betrayed Jesus for exactly that amount, and the money ended up in the temple treasury. 7. The fall of Jerusalem. 78. In Matthew chapter 24, Jesus himself predicted that the magnificent temple in Jerusalem would be destroyed, with not one stone left on another. About 40 years later, in 70 AD, the Roman army, led by Titus, destroyed the city and the temple, exactly as Jesus said. 8. The spread of the gospel worldwide. Jesus told his followers that the gospel would be preached to all nations. At the time, this sounded impossible. Yet today, the message of Christ has reached every continent, translated into thousands of languages, and continues to spread globally. 9. The preservation of Israel. God promised Abraham and the prophets that his people would never completely perish. Despite centuries of exile, persecution, and even attempts at annihilation, the Jewish people remain a testimony to God's faithfulness. 10. The return of Israel as a nation. In Ezekiel chapter 37, the prophet saw a vision of dry bones coming to life, symbolizing Israel's restoration as a nation. After nearly 2,000 years without a homeland, Israel was re-established in 1948, an event many see as a direct fulfillment of prophecy. These are just 10 examples, but they remind us of something powerful. The Bible is not just a book of history, it's a book of fulfilled promises. And if God's word has been proven true in the past, we can trust it for the future. Which prophecy amazes you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more faith-building content.